Laugh Fest next.
Travel consideration provided by...
I'm adding Downy Unstoppables to my wash. Now I'll be smelling fresh all day long. Still fresh.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Norah O'Donnell in Washington. We are coming on the air with breaking news. In just moments, President Biden will face a major test, fielding questions at an unscripted press conference as the NATO summit wraps up right here in Washington. While Ukraine was on the agenda today, the focus of this event will also be the president's health and his presidential campaign. Today is exactly 2 weeks since the president's disastrous debate performance, and donors and those in his own party are now questioning the president's ability to win in November and serve another 4 years in the White House. The president has not held a full press conference in nearly 8 months, but the president has also remained defiant as Democratic lawmakers wrestle with the path forward. By the latest count, by CBS News, 13 House Democrats and 1 Senate Democrat have publicly called for Joe Biden to exit the presidential race. I'm joined here by Major Garrett and Margaret Brennan. And just how high are the stakes, Major?
Incredibly high. Many House and Senate Democrats will look at this press conference as something approximating a reset. Can the president speak clearly, articulate a strong message, and look vigorous and capable across a wide array of questions? Can he deal with these penetrating questions about the state of his political campaign, the state of his presidency, the state of the future of the country? Can he do that? The country and the Democrats will watch.
Well, good evening. We just concluded this year's NATO summit, and the consensus among the members was it was a great success.
Well, there you have it. The President of the United States holding forth with reporters for nearly an hour, taking questions from some 10 different reporters, making some verbal gasps, but at the same time showing a great deal of knowledge about foreign policy and also drawing some direct contrasts with his opponent, Donald Trump. Margaret Brennan is with us. And Margaret, how did you gauge what we saw tonight?
Well, there was that stumble out of the gate, which the president just referenced there in terms of Harris and Trump and inverting their names. Pretty big one. But he then went on and answered for the better part of an hour questions, some of them in detail, particularly as it pertains to Ukraine and Russia, down to the 17.4%, 17.3%. He wanted to make sure we knew the exact detail in terms of the amount of land that Russia has grabbed. This, of course, though, is what he's been talking about in these back-to-back meetings with world leaders of the past 3 days. He went into the ability to serve as commander-in-chief in what could be a very tumultuous next 4 years, saying, I can talk to Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin now, and I can talk to him 3 years from now. I just don't want to talk to Vladimir Putin until he changes his behavior. So he's trying to allay some of these concerns. But as you heard throughout, the question of his age and command overshadowed all of this.
There is nothing in this press conference that suggests that President Biden is planning to step down anytime soon. He believes he is the most qualified for this job. It was jarring to hear him mix up Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, but we should note that Donald Trump has also confused Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi.
That's right.
He's misspoken about people's names as well. Let's bring in Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordes. She was in the room for Biden's press conference. Nancy, this was a long press conference. What is your analysis? You cover him daily.
Well, Norah, I think he was in a setting that was very comfortable for him here at the NATO conference. He went into great detail on foreign policy, on the situation in Israel, Ukraine, his position on China. And what I thought was very interesting is that he sort of wove throughout a subtler message about the benefits of being his age, 81 years old. He argued that it had given him more wisdom. At one point, he said the fact that he served in the Senate for decades made him a more effective president who was able to get major pieces of legislation passed. And he also argued that because he has been in this town and been in a position of leadership for such a long time, he has deep relationships with foreign leaders. He argued, as he has many times in the past, that he has spent more time with Chinese President Xi Jinping than any other foreign leader. And so it sounded like he was trying to make the case that while, yes, he doesn't walk as quickly as he used to, he doesn't doesn't speak as well as he used to, as he has said in the past. There are also some benefits of being his age. And interesting that at the end he made the point that there are other Democrats that he thinks could beat Donald Trump, but he argued that it's not that easy to start from scratch only 4 months from Election Day, which is an argument that his aides have been making behind the scenes as well.
Nancy Cordes, thank you. Let's bring in our chief Washington correspondent, Major Garrett. Your take?
Very quickly, Nora, the president said he doesn't believe negative poll data that says he's losing or could lose, and that he's not going to lose any delegates at the Democratic National Convention in August, and he's going to keep going, and the best way to reassure the country is to assure himself he's the most qualified. That's what he did.
All right. We just witnessed President Biden in that hour-long press conference. Our coverage will continue on CBS News 24/7, your local news, and we'll see you soon for those in the West on the CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Nora O'Donnell.
And as we're passing the collection plate, let's give a warm welcome to the Coopers, who are back in the fold. Our donation room is looking a little empty after the tornado, so please bring in your canned goods, your used clothing.
Is that beer?
Anyway, welcome back, Coopers. Please turn to page 37 in your hymnals.
What if we told you now you can see all the episodes you missed?
This is starting to feel like another Dave setup.
I'm getting good at them, right?
The Neighborhood, now streaming on Paramount+.
Hey, I'm Damon. And I'm Damon Jr. We've got a new comedy, Papa's House, coming soon to CBS. Yeah. Hi. Oh.
Ooh, what's going on?
Sam and Jay are interviewing potential assistants.
So far, it's been a